Welcome back to Girls Across the Pond, episode 14.
Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. We are back across the pond again, a mother-daughter duo, chatting about everything we can think about. And we're just about done with this pandemic. We are done with this lockdown. We are fed up. We're done with it. Not really. But we're going to talk about ways that we've coped with it and some really fun apps and means of creating our new normals and what we're doing to get through the new life that we're encountering. So stay tuned for that. And I want to fill you guys in on Santa Barbara because I just got back from sunny Southern California. So grab a beverage, pull up a chair, and join us across the pond.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, darling?
I'm
Any
doing
good
well.
news today?
I got a bank account opened. Thank you. I was, man, I'm going to have to mute that audio. All the ears for our listeners, all of them, they're just screaming in pain from all that sensory overload that you just screeched in their ears.
Seriously, my sound through this first season has just been a nightmare. You got a bank account. It is July. No, it's August. You landed there last August.
It's been a year.
It's been a year. Why is it so hard to open a bank account in the United Kingdom?
I don't know. Somebody tell me. I'm not sure. But alas, technically, I'm not out of the dark yet. The account has been opened. I still currently do not have access to it, and they're going to mail me the access to it. But it's actually opened, which is farther than where we've gotten it before.
I'm telling you, what a nightmare. Are they planning to mail it to your residence, or do we know where they're going to mail it?
Residence.
Oh, good. Didn't you have something mailed back here to Colorado to a house we don't live in anymore?
No. I said that to you too. I don't know where you're getting that from. Nothing's going to Colorado.
Okay, good. I have to tell you, going to school in the UK was a great idea if we were going to be there and all of us to be at the UK together. But with all these lockdowns, that didn't happen. And so it's just really put a wrench in things. And it's been a bit of a nightmare, especially for me being over here. I feel like I can't do anything to help or even just to give you a hug when things aren't going well. It's very sad. How's your week been, darling?
How has my week been? What have I done this week? It's been fine.
You put out a great cover yesterday.
Thank you. Yeah, so I gotta cover up on YouTube. I mean, I had a very productive weekend. So I think today I've been kind of chilling, but I am gonna run a few errands after we finish recording this. But for the most part, I had a pretty productive weekend, so I've just been chilling today. I haven't really done anything today thus far besides eat some food. Always needed. I've been loving this new anime series. And I swear, like I said, I am being productive, but also it's summer break, so I've been binging this anime series, and it's really good.
What's it called?
It's okay. So it's kind of like a multiple series part things, but the first series is called A Certain Magical Index, and it's kind of like when I say it's like multiple series, kind of like how Rick Riordan in his books has the Lightning Thief, like Percy Jackson series, and then same universe starts the Heroes of Olympus series, and that's like a second series in the same universe that involves like same characters. It's kind of like that. So there's A Certain Magical Index is the first series, but then it bears like off into like A Certain Magical Railgun, and then there's A Certain Scientific Accelerator, and there's like a whole bunch of other ones. But I'm currently watching A Certain Magical Index, and I didn't know that it was like so in depth, and I started watching A Certain Scientific Accelerator because that one was the one that piqued my interest, like just on like the descriptions. I saw that one first and I was like, this looks good. And it started at a really weird point, and I was like, there's so much background context they have not got into. And I was like, I'm watching this, like this is not the first thing I'm supposed to be watching. So I googled it, and turns out that's like series 4 or something, like way late. So I do have like one spoiler because of the start of that series, but other than that, it's been really good.
Nice. It's called A Certain Magical
Index. Index is the name of the character, and she is in fact magic. So she's a certain magical index.
It's fun to have bingeable shows that you're just in the middle of and just like, okay, now I can come back to. We finished watching The Night Manager. That was great. And it turns out there were 6 episodes they filmed. And the reason that they stopped filming, they are going to film a second season, which I'm delighted about. But I'm not quite sure how. And I don't want to spoil it for you, but one of the characters looks like he's done with at the end of the first series. I don't know what's going to happen there. But one is it was super expensive. They were filming in like the Alps. They were filming at the base of the Matterhorn. And then they went off to Spain and they were filming on these really cool locations. So that was expensive to do. Olivia Colman is in this as well. And she is great. And I absolutely loved her in Fleabag. She was so funny in that. And of course, she's been in The Crown and she plays Queen Elizabeth and won an Oscar. And she's a great actress. But she was so funny in in Fleabag. But she was in this as well. So there's a lot of high ticket actors in this. So I'm sure the salaries were expensive. I'm sure the location was expensive. And then of course COVID hit. So yeah. But I did hear they're making a second series, which is great. It was. Did you get to watch any of it?
No, I haven't watched
Oh,
it.
it was good. That was really good. So I want to fill you in before we get into our subject. We went to Santa Barbara this week.
Mm.
It was great. It was so great. We left here and it was an 18-hour trip. And we thought, well, we could stop somewhere, but we really didn't want to. We just kind of wanted to get there. So we drove straight through. We left it. I know. And when I say we, I mean your dad. I didn't get behind the wheel at all. He drove the whole
Wow.
thing.
Oh my
He
gosh.
drove the whole thing. We left here at 2 in the morning and we got in at 8 at night. And it was, there's something about Santa Barbara, and I said Santa Monica in our last episode. Santa Barbara is where we went, and it's just on the tip of the Central Coast. It's kind of a debate whether that's Southern California or Central California, but it's just in one of the most serene areas that you will ever imagine. The mountains are super close to the ocean, like 2 miles maybe, if that. And so you're actually standing on the water in the ocean and the mountain is right there and it kind of curves around. So it's like this little enclave that you're in and it's just cozy and it's so peaceful. And the 101, which is a very busy freeway, kind of runs through it, but it's still quiet and it's delightful. The worst things about it is we ran into a lot of California gas prices. I don't know if you saw some of my posts. The cheapest gas that we found on like the whole trip was $4.09. But for the most part, it was like 460, 480, somewhere in that range. And quite a few stations, not just one or two, quite a few were over $5, like 5.25, 5.35 for
Oh my
gas. It was,
gosh.
I know in America, and I know in the UK that's nothing because the UK is crazy expensive for gas. But yeah, we hit a couple really high gas prices, which was bad. But we came in through the northern route. We drove through Las Vegas. Heading out there. I haven't been to Vegas in a long time. I'm not a Vegas person. Have you ever been to Vegas?
No.
Oh,
I've
actually,
only ever traveled with you, so if you took me there, I've been there.
yeah, actually, we did take you there when you were just a baby. We were there for a wedding, and
Oh, okay.
you were so tiny we had to carry you. I mean, you were tiny, tiny. Um, but I don't like Vegas. But we drove through there, and the air quality was just like ugh, terrible. And but it was great. When we stayed by the water, we could breathe everything in, and we actually honeymooned out in Santa Barbara, and I think that's why it feels so peaceful to us. But we visited a winery on our honeymoon and we bought a bottle of wine and we still have that bottle. We've never opened it. It's from vintage 1988, which now sounds really old, but it really wasn't that old when we got married because we've been married a long time. But we went to go visit that winery and we thought, oh, that'd be so nice. And they were closed that day. We couldn't get in.
Oh.
They were getting ready to move and they had everything boxed up and sad. But we had a really nice dinner by the ocean. And of course, in Southern California, everything's really cool and edgy. And we had a pizza there that I have to tell you, it was so good. They had, what was on it? It was peaches, which I'm not a huge fan of a peach. I guess I'll eat one, but peaches and bacon. That sounds disgusting, doesn't it? Look at your face. Pizza and bacon. It was so good. It just melted in my mouth. It was so good.
No,
your
I
face.
won't. I won't bash it until I try it, but I'm having a really hard time seeing how that would taste good.
Oh, it was great. We thought we would order one pizza and have all this left over. We just like inhaled it, licking the plate and the whole bit, which is kind of uncouth at a restaurant. But I'm just kidding. We didn't really do that. We went up to UC Santa Barbara and walked around that campus. That campus is on like a peak of the earth, and it just overlooks the Pacific. It is. How do kids get anything done at UC Santa Barbara? I have no idea. It was beautiful. And then of course we went to the mission.
Mhm.
The mission. They have one of the most beautiful missions there, just beautiful, which is way up high on a hill. And if you're standing in the front of the mission, just kind of looking out, you look over the entire Pacific Ocean. Santa Barbara is, it's beautiful. And then coming home, we drove through Flagstaff. So we went down the southern route coming home, and we got a huge rock that hit us in the windscreen. Did I send you a picture of that?
No,
Oh,
I'm assuming it cracked the windshield.
oh yeah, it cracked it big. It was funny. Dad was driving and we could hear it, and he actually bent all the way over because you're just like, wow, it's boulders coming at me. But it came off a big rig, and he didn't know it, and it wasn't his fault. So we got that fixed when we got back. But here's one thing that was the craziest thing ever, and I'll have to send you pictures of this. We went for a lovely walk on the beach one night, and we must have walked 2 miles one way and 4 miles back, and then came back to we walked for a long, long time, but it was so peaceful and lovely. And they had things there called sea pickles. Have you ever heard of those?
Mm-mm.
You have to Google those. They're like about this long. And for those watching on YouTube, about that long, 2 inches maybe. And they're like jelly. They look like a gummy worm, is what it looks like.
Okay.
Thousands and thousands of them on a beach. They're just these little things. They're not animals and they're not plants. What did they call them? Did they call them
Crustaceans.
creatures? I had to look it up. I think they were called creatures. Sea creatures is what they were called.
It wasn't a crustacean.
I don't know what it is. It's alive. Well, I guess a plant could be alive. I don't know. Look it up. Sea pickles, if the weirdest thing, but they were absolutely everywhere on this beach. Weirdest thing. So we walked along, walking, walking, walking. We had our shoes in our hand, had a nice chat, and just listened to the waves. It was fabulous. And we get off the beach and we walk up the sand. Everybody's playing volleyball out there, having a good old time. And we look at our feet, and our feet are black with tar. Where do we get tar on a beach?
I'd like to say it's gonna have something to do with these pickles.
I don't think it had anything to do with pickles. No, it was weird.
Dirt. Actually, that wouldn't surprise me. Like the accumulation of just walking on sand for a while, making your feet turn dirty.
You would think it would be dirt, but it wasn't. It was tar because we were trying to walk on the sidewalk to get over to the little fountain that you can spray your
Mhm.
feet with. And our feet were literally, not even kidding, sticking to the concrete. This is the weirdest thing ever. So we tried to wash it off and it wouldn't come off. And some people walked by us and they went, oh, yeah, that's the oil from the oil spill.
I
And
was thinking that in my head.
yeah,
That's
20,
horrible.
it is terrible. 2015, there's offshore oil rigs. You can see them. There's like 6 or 7 of them right off the coast there. And apparently they had an oil spill in 2015, 6 years ago. 6 years ago. And it didn't look like we were walking on anything that was full of tar. The beach looked totally normal and beautiful. It was fabulous. But there was still so much tar in the sand and being washed up that our feet, I'll send you pictures, were just solid with tar. It looked like we just stuck our foot into a vat. And it took me 3 days to get it off my feet. Dad just went in with a knife and just started scraping it off his feet. It was awful tar. So it really makes you realize when there's an oil spill, especially a big one. And this wasn't even a big one that we knew of. I didn't hear of any oil spill in Santa Barbara. I probably missed it. I'm sure it made the news, but yeah, all those poor animals trying to live through that. And that's probably why the sea pickles are coming up. If they are an animal, I don't know. Look it up, sea pickles. Maybe I'll do a blog on it. Sea pickles. Anyways, it was great. On the way back, we stopped in Flagstaff and just stopped for the night, which was great, and drove on home. Uneventful, except we did see one. Remember that trip I was telling you about when we came through Tennessee and down the
Mm-hmm.
down the mountains, and we were worried about the trailer we were trying to. We were going through New Mexico, and it was so straight and so uneventful. I actually took a picture of it before this happened. I just thought this is the straightest road I've ever been on. Just plain, and it was clear as day, blue skies, no wind, no traffic. It was just beautiful driving through there. And then we came up on a truck that was towing a fifth wheel, and the whole thing was flipped over. The whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so bad for the guy, but it really makes you realize how easy that would have been for us going downhill with a car on a flatbed for that thing just to get a little bit wobbly and
Oh
just
yeah, yeah.
flip it. Yeah, this was a huge, great trailer all on its side, and there was nothing. There was no wind. I don't know what would have caused him to flip, but yeah. Mel took the trip. She did great. She had a good old time. We found a dog beach that was fantastic. It was just an off leash beach, very small, like all the beaches there, very secluded. And there was a bunch of dogs just running around, playing in the water and running on the beach. And Mel had a great time. She has come so far. You know, she's a rescue. For those of you who don't know who Mel is, she's a rescue, and she was scared of her own shadow a couple of years ago when we got her, and just wouldn't go up to people. And she couldn't wait to get off her leash and go and run with these other pups out there in the sand, and she had a great old time. It was such a nice vacation, a nice
That's
little
good.
getaway. But
Mm,
we're
that's
back in
nice.
Colorado now.
Welcome back.
Thanks. I feel like this whole podcast has been me talking. You lead into the next bit for me. I need
I
a break.
I don't know what the next bit is that I'm supposed to lead into. I'm a great host.
I do a lot of the lead-ins, don't I? I don't mean to. Sorry
I
about that.
didn't mind.
Okay, so we're talking about how we're coping because I'm getting ready to go over to the UK. I'm very excited. I have a ticket booked, and it looks like all the gates are open and that I'll actually be able to get over there, and which was never our intention when we sent you guys over to the UK and said, "Yeah, go to college over there, have a good time." We thought we'd be there a whole bunch of time, and that obviously hasn't happened, but who could have predicted the year that 2020 was? But here we are in the middle of 2021, and we're coming out of lockdowns and we're getting back to normal. Back to new normals, but people are not going back to the offices. Schools are opening, but I'm sure you'll have a lot of Zoom classes yet again this next year. Have you heard anything about that?
Big lectures are going to be online, yeah, but for the most part, the same like small groups will continue going.
Yeah. And you're in a small conservatory. So that's nice that even if you are on campus, you're in small groups and things.
For the
So,
for the most part, like the small groups are divided, I think, into like 5 people and a mentor. But there are quite a few classes that are like regulatory. You have to take this class to pass, and that's like all like my first year, like quote unquote. It's like to summarize, it's like a music business class that was like 400 plus people because everybody on the conservatoire had to take it. So,
how many people are at your conservatory? Do you know? How many students?
um, total no, but I know that there were 2 of the first year business classes, and each of those had about 380 people. So we round that up to like 400 ish,
Mhm.
800 minus 40 for that. So 760
So
for per class, and it's 3 years.
it's about 2,500 roughly.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's pretty small campus, which is great. It's great. I worry about Simon a lot in his big classes, but trying to get back to normal. So we were chatting about that a little bit, and we were talking about different apps that we use now, like Zoom, like this, for instance, was not a thing 3 years ago, or if it was, it certainly wasn't well known. I never heard of Zoom until this whole pandemic thing started. Was Zoom a thing? I don't
I've
know.
always used Skype. I use Zoom for most things, but I still use Skype with my Korean tutor. We use Skype.
Oh, do you? I
Mhm.
don't use Skype at all. Well, interesting. We wanted to talk about, first of all, how we're coping and the apps that we're now using to get us through life and what's becoming our normal go to for things. So, why don't you start it with some of the things that you're now using?
Oh gosh. So I only made a list of 4 apps because I'm not a super I guess I'd say I'm on my phone a lot, but I'm not necessarily like an application person. It's like, okay, well, what else do you do on your phone? I guess like I'm on socials, probably like texting people one on one. But
Mm.
even then, like I'm not necessarily doing that. I might be like scrolling through Instagram or something. I don't know. But when the pandemic started versus to where it is now, there's been a big change of how I thought about the pandemic because when it first started and it was just supposed to be like a 2 week lockdown, I was just like, great, this is like a 2 week Easter break, dude,
Yeah.
we're just chilling. So
Yeah.
like when it was just 2 weeks, I literally made it a goal to do as little work as possible during those 2 weeks because I was like, it's a break.
Yeah. That's
And
what we all
so
thought.
during those 2 weeks, I genuinely don't think I've ever watched so much anime. That's like all I did. I
All
got
right.
Funimation Premium subscription, also great choice of mine. So that would be my first app is Funimation. That's the anime streaming service I use. I also use Crunchyroll, but the only one I pay subscription for is the Funimation one. But I watched all of Attack on Titan, which is now 4 seasons. Rewatched it a second time, then watched all of Demon Slayer, which was a season only at that time, and then watched Blue Exorcist and or on High School Host Club. Like I was watching like anime after anime after anime and after like I just kept going
Did you
all the
watch
way
all
through.
of that in that 2 week period?
Yes, it's literally
Oh,
like I genuinely like that I stopped to sleep and that was it. Like that I literally
wow.
did not do anything but watch anime.
That is a
The
lot.
most unproductive 2 weeks of my life, but needed.
Yeah. It kind
Um,
of was. I think everybody in life needed those first few weeks, and we didn't have any idea of what was to come. But
yeah, I woke up, watched anime, went to bed, woke up, watched anime, went to bed. Like that was like all it was. And because of that, I've watched so many animes that so that now if I meet somebody who also likes anime, we can typically at least find one that we've both watched,
yeah.
which is nice. So Funimation would be my first. I got this like really hooked on this app during the pandemic, but after that 2 weeks, I was like, okay, this is ongoing. I need to do something significantly more productive than watching TV all day. Especially just because in general, I just don't like to do that unless it is like a set break. So that's when I started learning Korean. And fun fact about me, I was originally planning on learning Japanese first because I was like, here's a pandemic. I'd like to learn a new language that could be an excuse to do something educational, more like something better with my time than just sitting and watching TV. So I'll try and do something a little more knowledgeable, learn a
There's the
language.
kid I know and love.
Yeah, originally I wanted to learn Japanese so I could watch anime without subtitles. That was the original motive. And then I did some more thinking and I was like, yeah, well, I'm really liking K-pop and I want to go into music. This could be significantly more beneficial for my future. So I ultimately went with Korean. And well, the rest they say is history. um so yeah. Anyways, continuing on my list of applications, the other one that I started using during the pandemic, but is definitely probably I'd say pretty decently well known, especially in the reading community, is Goodreads.
Mm.
I didn't start using that app actually until about November or December of 2020. And I really enjoy it because I can keep track of how many books I read in a year. Just in general, I like that. And you can track how far you are in each book, which I just really like. I don't know
Mhm.
why. It's just an enjoyable, fun thing to do, but you can see the exact percentage the way
Oh,
through the
that's
book you are.
nice.
So I can be like, oh, I'm 238 pages out of 492 or something like that. And it like literally gives you a little percentage and it gives you a little bar that shows you how like through the book you are, which I really like. And you have little reading lists of like books you've read, books you're currently reading, and books that you want to read. So if I ever, for some reason, can't figure out what to read, which has never happened yet, but when it does, I'll be ready. Um, there's a little list that I can go to for the books I want to read.
Now,
Really
Goodreads,
nice.
I used to have that app and I've deleted it. I haven't used it in a while. I forgot. Is it something you have to purchase the books or can you rent them like a
No,
library?
it's just a you just talk about the books. You don't actually do any reading on that app.
Oh, you don't? God, I don't
No,
remember that
so
then.
you can you can meet other people on the app. It's closer to like a book review app is like kind of what it is. Because like you can look up pretty much any book and see how it's rated. And I do that a little bit, but I don't really do it a lot. like when it comes to reviews, I'll rate the book myself, but I don't typically look at what other people say unless I want to start fights. But
So,
I also don't do that too often.
so if you're not reading on the app, how can you tell how far into the book you are? Do you just
It's
document it?
basically like it's kind of like yeah, you there's a search bar and the books are all like in the app, as in like it's registered as a book in the app. So like let's say Harry Potter for example. I'm reading Harry Potter right now and I want to log it in this book. So I'll look up Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and it'll come up by J.K. Rowling and I'll click on that and I'll say add to currently reading, and then it just pops up as a book that you're reading, but you don't actually read it in that app. You can be reading the actual book in person and it's just like a tracker. And yeah, it's basically a tracker, and then it'll say like, okay, there's like, I don't know, 200 pages in this book, how far are you into it so far? And you just say like update progress. And when you do that, you can either, well, you can put the page number out of how many pages and it'll tell you the percent, and then you can write a little bit about like where you are in the book if you want. Some people do that. I don't typically. I typically just update it unless something really big happened. But some people, you can treat it like a little diary entry. You can be like, oh my god, I just got to the part where there's the troll in the dungeon and Quirrell thought they wanted to know, like kind of thing. And so you can like look back at it. I don't typically do that, but I do like to track. There you can also set like reading goals. Like I have a goal to read 35 books this year, and that's logged in Goodreads so that I can see like how many books I'm currently reading, but also based on the fact that there's 12 months in the year, it'll tell you how many books you need to read a month. So it can tell you like whether you're on schedule. I am not on schedule. I am behind.
Oh, you were ahead for so long.
I was ahead for so long, and then I stopped being ahead for so long when I got
Yeah.
into final season.
But you know what? That happens with goals, and a lot of people just go, "Oh, well, I'm behind and I can't catch up." But you're the kind of person that would look at that and go, "Okay, let me get myself back on track." So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. I'm currently, I think I'm only like 2 books behind. So I'm not like super behind, but I have some other books lined up to read. Here's a book. I'm going to shout it out that I've been reading it casually, but I haven't like sat down and been like, yes, I'm officially reading this book because I'm reading another one and I want to finish that one first. But this is a book that I've been really interested in and I've kind of like read little snippets and pieces of, and it's called The Brain: The Story of You by David Eagleman. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the snazzy little cover of it.
Is that
It's a
fiction or
science
nonfiction?
nonfiction.
Sorry.
It's a
Sorry.
science book about just the brain and how it's formed over time and like how it shapes your life and how the brain reacts to like with age and how we perceive information, like our synaptic nerves and forming bonds in our brain from like the young age, and how those synapses like disappear as we get older and all that fun
You're
stuff. So
such
I
a
just thought it
cool
was really
kid.
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, look at the range of information that you have. You just went from anime to like Harry Potter to like
I'm
reading about the
such a
brain.
nerd.
I mean, talk about
I'm such a
maybe
nerd.
I don't know that. I think just taking in information, I think it's great. Can we talk about your little bear back there behind you? He's just stinking adorable.
Oh, thank you. His name is Juki.
He's got a little fan, keeping you
He's got a
cool.
little fan because it's pretty hot out here. Yeah. Um, and then the other two apps that I had on my list are they kind of coincide. They're very different apps, but I use them very similarly. Are Discord and Reddit
Oh,
that I'd
right.
say. Reddit, just because I find that is an interesting part of the internet. Because you can find a lot of crap on Reddit, but you can also find a lot of like interesting conversations on Reddit versus like there aren't it's a lot harder to find those type of conversations on a lot of other social platforms like Instagram or Facebook or even TikTok or anything like that. So I find it easier to put myself in those type of conversations online, and then it's not just me trolling online with a whole bunch of people, but like then it turns into like this actual like deep discussion where we're analyzing each other's points and we're like learning a lot, and other people being like, oh, check out this resource about blah 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 blah, and it's a lot more educational than just sitting on TikTok for like 5 hours,
I think
which I
that's
really like.
great.
And Discord's a messaging app for like online server communities, and I'm in one. I think I mentioned this a couple episodes ago.
You
I'm in
did.
one for Myers Briggs typing, and that's just been really fun. So
Your people.
that's just like a great way. I wouldn't say my people, but that's like a really great way to spend my free time is
Yeah.
listening to other people and then solving them like a puzzle. It's really fun because you break down everything they say. Like you send them like a little questionnaire and then you keep like sending them questions and how do you respond in this kind of scenario? What do you do like this? And blah 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 blah. And then the more they say, the more it like kind of like fits together. It's like you're funneling it down, and it gets to the point where you can like literally just like figure out the way they phrase a sentence suggests this type over this type or this kind of thing. Like, oh, what ni-dom would say this? No ni-dom, obviously not. Blah 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 blah, like kind of thing. It's like it's puzzles. It's fun. Okay, those are my apps.
Um, do you have any fun apps that you've come up with to help you with any kind of schoolwork since school's been so at home and online kind of things?
I have not had one piece of homework this year.
Yeah, but your school is different because, like you say, how
Mhm.
do you study production? You have to go do it.
Yeah. So I mean, like, if I want to do production work, I go on Logic or Pro Tools and start working or start recording. I do really like the Guitar Tabs app, which is a very well known app in the music. Oh, actually, I'm gonna say two apps that I really like. The Guitar Tabs app, like Ultimate Guitar Tabs or something like that. It's really well known in the music community, and the Ultimate Slow Downer. Both of those apps I had full access to before the pandemic, but I still use them just as much.
Mhm.
I have both of the pro versions because as a musician, honestly, just invest. It's so worth it. But the
Yeah,
Guitar Tabs app is basically there's so many guitar tabs, like chord charts and pop charts to a whole bunch of different songs. You can look tons up on there. They're not always accurate, but if you got a good ear, you can typically figure out if it's not accurate or whatever. And then the Slow Downer app hooks up to if you have the pro version, which is just a one time buy, and I think it's like $7 or something. So buy it.
yeah,
But it hooks up to your like Spotify or Apple Music, and you can slow down or speed up any track without affecting the pitch and vice versa. And then you can like create loops. And it's basically like the point of it is to learn music by ear. So if I'm like drumming along to a track and I don't actually have like the drum part, which is most of the time, like I just want to listen to the song and hear what the drums are doing, so I'll just copy it.
mhm.
I'll use that app, and if I need to slow it down, you can slow it down like that, and the pitch doesn't get all warped like that. But you can also adjust the pitch if you need to, which I've also done a couple times.
Gotcha. And you say you haven't had any homework. I mean, obviously you've done work, you've turned in essays and had to do write ups and things like that, but you're just using like regular Word.
Though no, those were all like final assignments, like for the class, but like actual like homework, like in between this class and next class, your assignment is to do blank. Yeah, no.
No, yeah, but for your essays and things, you would just use regular Word, correct?
Oh, I use. Oh, sorry, Word. I didn't understand what you're saying. I use Google Drive and
Yeah,
Google Docs.
Google Docs. Gotcha. Okay. Google Drive is something that's a nice transition from you to me. Google Drive is something that has changed my life. I started using that probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. When you guys, I think, first got into high school, I think Simon started using Google Drive because all the teachers did. And I thought, well, what's that?
Hmm.
But I have everything in Google Drive, my whole
Yeah, I pretty
life.
much do too.
Yeah. Who's handling paper anymore? It just seems strange to me. If I get a receipt from a doctor, that goes in my Google Drive. If I have paperwork from your school or emails that I want to keep, obviously I'll archive my emails, but certain ones I'll just print a PDF and I'll save it in my Google Drive so I can pull it up wherever I want. We have our COVID cards in there. We have, medical history. We have all sorts of stuff in our Google Drive, and we have a very strong password, which is important to do. But yeah, I love that. And things that you guys need over in England, I'll always just pop in the drive and you guys get it instantly. It's just such a great, great tool. I know a lot of people like Dropbox, which is very similar. Um,
Dropbox you have to like pay for like different sizes though. It's just not worth it.
I have the minimum free one. The one thing I like about Dropbox is they have a vault. So you have a password to get into your Dropbox, and then you have a vault which has another password. So it's just a double layer of protection for documents that you want to really secure. I
Mm.
just don't like it. I like Google Drive because you can color code things, and it's easier to upload. It's
Can't
way
remember the
easier
last
to
time
move
I
things.
color coded my Google Drive.
Is yours color coded?
No.
Really? Oh, mine's so pretty.
Mine for high school was because I organized it by classes, and in those classes I organized it by semesters and units,
Mhm.
and that was color coded. Um, but just my normal Google Drive, no. It's pretty organized, but it's not color coded. No. They're all just blue.
Do you know what I love about one thing with Google Drive is I have been scanning all of our pictures that have been in photo albums. You have all these pictures that are just getting old and old and old. And I've been scanning them, and we've got so many pictures right now in our Google Drive is great. And I have a backup drive, and I share that file with another backup. So I mean, I've got backups and things, which is great. And by the way, speaking of uploading photos, I came across a video cassette recorder that was less than $100, and it's actually I bought it, and it's coming. It should be here tomorrow, I think, so I can start moving over some old videos, which I'm very excited about. Get those all
Oh, sweet.
updated and made into digital things. One of the apps that I found absolutely amazing, and I know you just hate planners. You hate planners. I use AnyPlan, and I think that is one of the best planners ever. I was a Franklin person. Dad was a Franklin person. If you've ever used a Franklin planner, you become a Franklin person, and that's the way you do your life. Any plan to me is a great planner. It's like $7, I think, and they constantly do updates. And I love that if I have any questions about it, I can just hit their little ask us a question, contact us, whatever it is. And within 24 hours, usually it's like 4 or 5 hours, I get an answer back from them. Oh, here's how you do blah, 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 blah. Customer service, stellar. The product, stellar. It keeps me on track. I can load pictures onto it. I can do anything with it. It's all color coded. I've got things cross referenced. It's a notes app. It's a scheduler, a calendar, a task manager. It's everything. Any plan. Great, great app. And it's available on Apple and Google Play. Google, is that what it's
Android.
called? Google Play?
Hmm.
Android. Yeah. The other thing is something you taught me about, which was, and we were just talking about it before this, was Good Notes.
I love Good Notes. That's one that I really enjoy. I
This
use that for college lecture notes.
this is the best purchase I've ever made. It's my Apple Pencil. I love it. Um,
Oh, you have the nice Apple Pencil.
I actually have two Apple Pencils. I
You
know
have the
this
bougie
one.
one.
What's that?
You have the bougie one.
Why is
Mine's
it
old.
bougie?
Mine's the first gen Apple Pencil.
Yeah,
I'm
because
just messing with you.
I have a really big iPad. It's the big guy, which I actually love because it feels like a piece of paper. But Good Notes, oh my gosh, Good Notes is fabulous. I have gone back to note writing and anything I just want to jot down. Where's that piece of paper I had yesterday with somebody's phone number on it? It's all in Good Notes. I have everything in there, and again, it's all color coordinated. And I have pretty little pictures on things, and my files are all lovely to look at. I love Good Notes. The nice thing, and there's another one called Noteworthy that's a similar app, but and I looked at both, but I did like Good Notes better. Um,
Mm,
you could take pictures and insert the pictures into your apps. You can actually type on it if you prefer not to have a pencil. You can actually sit
mm.
and type on it. Um, but yeah, I just like the
I also quite enjoy Good Notes. I use that for college lecture courses, which obviously right now it's summer break, so I haven't used it for that in a second. But I that during the semester, that's all I used was Good Notes for like all my courses. And then I use it every once in a while. I do language stuff on there. I have a couple of different like sources and like things that I use for language. So like actually, it's sitting right here, so I'll just show it. I have one of those moleskin notebooks, which is a nice little black
oh
notebook,
yeah.
and it's my grammar notebook. So I don't do anything in this notebook but write down grammatical rules and like their principles. So like if I forget how to like conjugate a verb ending, I can just look it up in this notebook with nothing else, because like before it was like in a shared notebook with also like all my sentence practice and all this stuff, so it just like got really disorganized and confused. So that's like just what this notebook is for. But I use my Good Notes on my iPad for just like Korean writing practice or like exercises that I need to do. I'll do it on there. And I also use it for music theory lessons, which is
Oh,
really
nice.
nice because I teach students on Zoom and then hook my iPad up to Zoom and share my iPad screen so that like it just like shows on Zoom my iPad screen. And Good Notes has manuscript paper as one of their like paper options.
Yeah.
So we'll just be working on music paper and I'll just be theorying away, and the student can just see it on Zoom right there. And then at the end of the lesson, I send them all the notes that we went over on Google Drive.
That's so great. It's been a really fun way for you to make a little extra cash teaching music
Mm.
theory. That's great.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Nice. The other app I like is Map My Fitness.
Mm.
I was on MyFitnessPal for a while, and I know a lot of people like MyFitnessPal. I have trouble getting it to sync up to my Apple Watch. I don't know why. I'm probably doing something wrong, but I like Map My Fitness. It shows me how far I go and tracks me and taps me if I'm not doing enough, and it really helps keep me on track with things. It's on my phone. If I forget my watch, I can use it just on my watch. If I forget my phone, it's great. And I like looking at my weekly um, stats to make sure that I'm actually working out. I try to work out 30 minutes every single day. 30 minutes, not a ton. Even if it's just a rapid walk, I just try to get 30 minutes in every day. And that's a really great app for tracking me and making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
I will say I really enjoy Notion. It's an app I didn't mention, but I do
Oh
like
yeah.
that app. I'm sorry, developers. It is not user friendly in the slightest.
I have trouble
I
with it.
almost gave up. I did give up for like 2 months, and then I saw one person being like, "Haha, this is my little Notion tour, and this is how I made it." And then I was like, "Oh, okay, that kind of makes sense." So then I went in and like really experimented it with it for like literally like 4+ hours one night and set it up the exact way I want it to be. And now that it's set up that way, I like it
It's
because
really
it
cool.
syncs. Yeah, it syncs with Google Calendar. I've got a couple of like really nice gifts that I really like of like rain, so it's like kind of relaxing in my style. I've got some like study playlists just like right there. So I can just click on that if I'm tracking something anyways in the app, and then I just want to go right next to it and there's my playlist, so I can turn on some like classical music if I want or something. So now that I have it set up the way I like it, love it. Before then, hated it. But now I really like Notion.
Notion is like a dashboard, for lack of better words, because you import other apps. Like you say, you've got your calendar in there and you've got like a music playlist in there and things. So it's more like you're looking at things that you need to do, and it's literally a dashboard of stuff that is your life
Kind
at
of,
this
but
moment.
you can put pages in there from
Yeah.
that's just like in the app.
Mhm.
Like it's not hooked up to a Google Drive page or something. I mean, I guess you could do it that way, but that's a lot of extra work. There's just pages in Notion that you just make.
This is resident in the app.
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
think there's like a couple widgets. So yes and no. Like there's blatant like to-do lists in the app.
Do you get on there every day?
I try to. One thing I do find hard about it is like I tried to make it my opening like home screen whenever I open Google. But for some reason, I haven't figured out how to do that yet. There's some glitch that I did what you have to do that, but it's not working right. So I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But no, because I haven't found like a way for me to like easy access it all the time, because I have to consciously go in and open it up and then like track all my stuff, which sounds like, okay, what's the big deal with that? But it's hard to remind myself to do that.
So is it only on your computer and not on your phone?
It's on all, so it's cross synced to all my devices.
Oh, yeah, I got on there a little bit before we moved, and then we got moving, and I haven't gone back on there. I like an app to work for me. I don't want to have to
Mm,
work for the app.
mm,
So it better be reminding me of things or tickling me and making me do things rather than me going in going, what do I need to do today? I don't have patience for that. I need it
mm.
to be busy for me. But the one app I do like to go into and look into is Apple News. And I use that all the time. I usually, the first thing I do in the morning is I grab my iPad, which is on my nightstand, and open it up and I see what's happening in the world. So I like to read the news first thing in the morning, like literally first thing in the morning. I'm still horizontal in bed and I'm reading the news. And I think Apple News is great. I know there are loads of news apps that you can get on, but you pick your poison of what news profile you want to get. And I have some conservative things, I have some liberal things, I have some mediocre things, I have some entertainment things, I have some whatever. And so it's the gamut. And I can scroll through and look at and the different things and get the information I want. And it can just be reading headlines and getting ticklers to know what's happening. But before I even get vertical during the day, I've already got a gist of what's going on in the world. And And I really like that. And it's quick and it's easy and it's a real fast scroll, probably 20 minutes tops. And I feel like, okay, I know what's going on. And I usually send you guys screenshots of things. I'm like, oh, this is happening today.
Mm.
Pay attention, or somebody got stabbed or whatever. And the last thing, the last app that I use an awful lot because we are dog owners is Bring Fido, which I think is a great app. That will tell you all sorts of pet friendly things, places, parks, restaurants, whatever, hotels, whatever you need. And so we look at that all the time to see, can we bring Mel with us to a certain place? And it'll list off different pet friendly places. And we have found an amazing amount of pet friendly restaurants, really great pet friendly restaurants on that app, and quite a few pet friendly hotels as well. But the restaurants is great when they have a nice outdoor patio and we can just bring her and she comes with us. It's great. So Bring Fido, great app. That's what I got.
Splendid. That's all I got too.
Splendid. So they're getting us through the new normal. Hopefully, I don't want to see businesses go out and not have offices and things, but hopefully the new norm is people only going like into an office once or twice a week or going into school once or twice a week. And, that's got to cut down on pollution and congestion and obviously disease like we've had. That's the whole point of it. But hopefully we can all find this new normal. I'm loving it, to be honest. I love being just on electronics and seeing people when I need to and going on with my life and not having to drive for hours and hours every day. I think that's wonderful. No comment.
Splendid. Sorry.
You're sitting there. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, darling. I have oodles of games. I love to end our podcast on fun games and things. I don't know if you
I
are
thought you wanted
totally.
to do a language update.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I To be honest, I have been studying my Russian and I met with my girlfriend the other day and I told you this that she helped me out a bit and she kind of directed me to something with Russian. And by the way, the Russians are back on the ice. I'm so excited. My little Russian team posted a bunch of things of their new routines today. They were all over social media with they're doing a tango this year. Oh, so excited. Anyways, focus, Ellen. So she was talking to me about Russian and the cases of words. There are different cases: nominative, genitive, dative, accusative. If I'm saying that right, instrumental, and prepositional. And I am engulfed in trying to learn what those are and how to work through those. So that's my focus for Russian. What is your focus right now for Korean, my darling?
So this past week I joined a couple of my studygram friends in like a language immersion challenge for the night, like the past week. So we didn't meet every day, but I think it was 4 or 5 days out of the week on once again Discord because like it's a great app. So we're on like a language learning Discord server together, and you can go into little voice chat rooms. So we'd all get on. There was probably like 6 of us, and so we all got onto like a call, and it was like 5 times during the week. And we just did something different each call that was like language immersion. So the first time we watched like a Korean kids show, and then the next time we watched a Korean web drama, and obviously we did a ton of speaking practice where we just would speak with each other in Korean, and these are other Korean language learners, so we'd like try and correct each other, like, oh, I think it's supposed to be like this, or oh, you don't know that word but I know that word, it's this word or something. um Talked about like slang. We did some dialogue, like speaking practice, that's like we would read stuff out loud and like did like scripted reading practice kind of thing with each other, which was really nice. So I learned a lot from that, and it was really scary because I really hate phone calls, and I just like it made me really anxious to do that. But so it was like a little bit out of my like comfort zone, but did that, enjoyed it. And I was surprised because when we were watching like all these, like I was saying, we were watching like the Korean kids show, the web drama, it was all Korean subtitles only, no English at all, spoken in Korean and Korean subtitles. And for the web drama, the kids show was actually harder to understand because they spoke really fast. um
Yeah.
but the web drama was significantly easier to understand than the kids show. Um, and it was, excuse me, I just swallowed all weird. Um, it was live actors. The kids show was a cartoon. So there's a little bit more like connection to it. But
Mhm.
that show I could understand quite a bit of what was going on. It's not like I understood like 100% of it word for word and I knew exactly what every single sentence meant, but I was following the general gist of it and I really actually enjoyed it. And I was like, no, pick that guy. Don't pick him. He sucks. Pick this guy. There was cheesy web comedy romance thing, but yeah.
Have you ever gone back and watched the movie Parasite that won Best Picture of the Year a couple of years ago?
No, I didn't. Parasite's actually an anime that I really like. So every time
I
you
know
say
you
that,
mentioned.
I think about that anime. And so I'm like, yeah, of course I've watched Parasite. What are you talking about? Not that not that Korean. Is it a movie? It's a movie, not that Korean movie. But I
Full on movie.
do actively watch K dramas, which are
Yeah.
like movie length TV shows.
The movie Parasite is actually a really good movie. It won Best Picture of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. But it was all in Korean, the whole thing. And there was death and killing and blood. And I think you would love it. I think it's right up your alley.
I have not seen it.
I've not seen it.
I find with like I don't know, maybe it's just like romanticized media or whatever it is, but I find like maybe it's just the rom-coms, I don't know. But K dramas, I have a harder time understanding than like web series that are like one of the listening practices that I really like are idol group TV shows where it's like a K-pop group and they're just like going on some reality thing and it's almost like a reality show for like I don't know 5 or 6 episodes and they're like 10 minutes long and it's like a little mini series of I don't know, they go on one trip or they go on a vacation or they go do something kind of thing like that. Those are so much easier to understand than the Korean like K dramas. And I think it has to do with like the type of Korean that's spoken because the ones that the idols use, it's far more like colloquial versus like in K dramas, they speak in all these wild metaphors that I'm just like, what on earth? And like where there was like I can't remember what it was, but it must have been in True Beauty where I was watching and we were listening to like one thing and the caption said something that made sense in English, like I don't know, you suck or something. I don't know. It was something in the captions that I didn't think twice of. But then I heard the sentence and I swear at one point in the sentence there was the word horse. And I was like, what? It's like, why is she saying horse?
Like she said it in English?
No, in Korean. Like
Oh, okay.
the sentence in Korean had to do like there was the word horse in there because it was some crazy metaphor about something like that. And in English, the metaphor obviously didn't translate, so the translator just wrote what they were trying to say, like you suck or whatever kind of thing. Versus like in everyday speech. I mean, people use metaphors and analogies, but it's not all they do. So a lot of times they'll just be like, don't do that or something, which is a lot easier to understand somebody saying hajima over like, oh my god, stop, please, blah 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 blah. You
Oh,
know?
right, right, right. Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So this week I'm focusing a lot on like input learning. I watched an interesting video talking about based off of how your brain interprets information. Hence me like, I'm on my whole brain saga right now.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Talking about how each brain obviously inputs information differently and based off of how you do that, the best like ways to challenge yourself to learn a new language. And for me, it's supposed to be, I don't know, we're actively experimenting with this to test if it's true, is language input, but not a lot of output. So listening more to others than actively speaking, or basically a lot of listening practice. There was some reading emphasis, but it was like focusing on more of the input source than the output source. I think that's just in general what I typically like to do.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
was I was trying when you were saying that I was trying to equate it to what I'm doing with Russian. I thought, oh, that would be delightful if that's the way my brain would work because that's what I want. I want to be like a sponge taking it in and not trying to regurgitate it
Mm.
back out.
So yeah,
Can't
that's my
roll the
language
R's.
update.
There's a nice visual for that. Okay, let's finish up with a fun little quiz. Would you like to do an Avengers,
I don't think I'm going to do very well on that.
a Friends,
Sure.
or Hamilton?
Hamilton or Friends, you pick. I don't have a preference between those two.
Okay, let's do Friends.
Okay.
Let's do Friends. I have 20 questions here, and they're pretty easy if you are a Friends watcher. So
What
follow
were
along.
Ross and Rachel on? A break.
They were on a break. Okay, so if you've ever watched Friends, follow along with us and see how you do on this. We like to watch this show. Okay, what is Joey's favorite sandwich?
There's no multiple choice. I was expecting multiple choice.
Oh, I'm sorry. There is multiple choice. Sorry.
Just what is his favorite sandwich? Out of all the sandwiches to exist, please inform us. What is Joey's favorite sandwich? Paper,
Salami,
snow,
ham and
a ghost.
I was thinking of that. Salami, ham and cheese, meatball, or a grilled cheese.
Ooh. It's either ham and cheese or meatball. I think it's ham and cheese.
Oh, it's meatball.
Ah, dang it. He's talked about both. I know he's talked about both on that show.
What was the wedding gift that made Rachel walk out on Barry? A coffee pot, a gravy boat, linens, or a ladle?
A gravy boat.
A gravy boat, exactly. He got me a gravy boat. This is a gimme question. How many pages long was Rachel's letter to Ross?
It was 5:30 in the morning, and you had rambled on for 18 pages, front and back.
Oh my God. Funny, funny, funny. What did Monica and Chandler name their twins? Jack and Judy, Chandler and Erica, Chandler and Judy, or Jack and Erica? Like in the last episode.
I know. I completely forgot they even gave them names. Jack and Erica.
That's correct.
Okay. I was like, I know it wasn't Emma because Rachel had Emma, and Monica had wanted to name her kid Emma.
That's right. That's right. And
Chandler
they did
was
that.
Chandler was the name of one of Frank and Alice's triplets.
Who was?
Frank and Alice's triplets.
Oh, that's right. Frank and Alice. Who was the last friend to find out about Monica and Chandler? Joey, Ross, Phoebe, Rachel.
Ross.
Correct. My best friend and my sister. What fake name does Joey go by? I got this wrong. I didn't know he had a fake name. Ken Adams, Ted Phalange, John Tribbiani, or Sam Adams?
Ken Adams.
Yeah, that's the right answer. When did he go by Ken Adams?
I just know that I haven't heard any of those other ones come out of his mouth. I know Phoebe was Regina Phalange.
Phalange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. What name does Rachel's sister Amy keep mistakenly calling Emma? Grammar on that sentence is weird. Ellie, Ella, Emmy, Erica.
Ella.
Yes. Whatever. Where does Chandler tell Janice he's moving to? Russia,
Yemen.
Yemen, and Switzerland.
Yemen.
I know. We were joking about
Chandler's in Yemen.
When we were driving through the Grand Canyon or through Flagstaff, there was a street there called Grand Canyon Boulevard. It cracked us up. We're like, oh, one Yemen Boulevard. Oh, what's the name of the grumpy man who lived below Monica's apartment? Mr. Heckles, Mr. Heckles, Mr. Finches, or Mr. Heckler?
Heckles.
Heckles, correct. Heckles. Which of Monica's beauty items caused Joey to figure out that Chandler and Monica were hooking up? An eyelash curler, a hairbrush, a hair straightener, or mascara?
An eyelash curler.
That's right. What was the name of Joey's stuffed penguin? Hugo, Mr. Waddles, Hugsy, or Pengu?
Hugsy.
Hugsy. Hugsy the penguin. How many categories did Monica have for her towels? 5,
11.
oh,
I just
5.
watched that episode the other day.
What colors? I got this wrong. What colors are the umbrellas on the opening credits? Red, white, and blue, red, orange, and yellow, green, yellow, and red, or red, blue, and yellow.
I only remember there being yellow, but that's because How I Met Your Mother has a thing with yellow umbrellas. Can you say the colors again?
Yeah, red, white, and blue,
No.
red, orange, and yellow,
Maybe, but unlikely.
green, yellow, red.
Green, yellow, red. Probably not. I think it was the last one blue, red, and yellow.
Yes,
That one.
it is that one. It is that
Primary
one.
colors would make
I
more
thought it
sense.
was orange and yeah, I don't think I've ever paid attention to that. I usually fast forward through the beginning. Um, who was Joanne Chandler's favorite or TV guide addressed to? Miss
Mrs.
Chenandler,
Chenandler Bong.
Miss Chenandler Bong, Chenandler.
Yeah, Miss Chenandler Bong.
That's it. Oh, that's funny. One of the options here was Monsieur Joey Bing. Monsieur. For the majority of the series, what number was on Monica's apartment? 17
Majority.
9.
That implies that it changed.
It did change. And I remember it changing, going, hey, they changed numbers. And I thought they were going to do it every season, and they didn't. It was different the first season or the first and second, but then it changed. 17 9 20 or 45.
I think it's 20.
Yeah, 20. But the beginning it was 5. I don't know
Oh,
why
was
they
it
changed
really?
it.
Oh.
Yeah. What did Ross say unagi means? Am I saying that right?
Unagi.
Unagi. Is
Total
it
awareness. Is that an option?
yeah.
And then Rachel goes, salmon skim roll.
Yeah, freshwater eel. I got that wrong. I thought it was be prepared.
Nah.
I
Total
got it
awareness.
wrong. Ross tries to name all 50 states. Which one did he forget? This is the last question. Alaska, Delaware, Ohio, or Maine? I got this wrong as well.
Ohio.
That's what I said. No, it isn't. It's Delaware. I think it was
Oh.
Joey that said Ohio twice or something like that.
I could have sworn it was Ohio. I remember at one point somebody else comes in and he was like, "Oh, where are you from again?" And he was like, "Colorado." And he's like, "Oh," because he'd already gotten Colorado.
Already got that. You got 19 out of 20. Very good. How did you do at home? Are you a Friends expert? Tell us how you did. Comment below. Give us a shout out. All right. That's all I got today, darling. We've been yapping for about just over an hour.
Splendid. That is
I
also
try to
all I
keep
have
these
today.
down, but it's so nice to chat with you
Thank you.
about everything and anything. So I'm excited about Spooktober.
Yeah, me too.
Starting to plan for that. Come up with a couple good things. Dad told me a really cool story that I Googled, and I thought, wow, I've never heard of this. So I've already got a story to tell.
Are we talking about like what kind of stories? Are we telling
I
ghost
don't-
stories or are we telling true crime?
I don't know. We have 4 weeks. I haven't looked at October. It might be a 5-week October. I don't know. But we could certainly do a true crime, a zombie something or another, a ghost something or another, because I want to talk about that. Maybe something haunted. I don't know.
Yeah,
All
we'll
sorts
figure
of
it out.
things. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I don't even like Halloween. That's probably my least favorite holiday of
That is the only holiday I really, really care about with a burning passion.
dressing up on Halloween. I cannot be bothered.
Halloween is like, oh, but everything's spooky and scary. And I feel like during like the rest of the year, when I say I like horror, that only hits with like a niche amount of people who also like horror, and everybody else is kind of like, okay. But when
Yeah.
it's Halloween, if I'm like, yeah, I really like horror, people are like, okay, cool. I get more
Yeah.
validation during Halloween.
Do you? I don't like dressing up. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty boring with that, but I'm super excited about our Spooktober or whatever we're going to call it. Spooktober is the moniker for the moment. We'll come up with more. So anyways, do follow us on our website, girlscrosspond.com, and all our socials, and I'll let you take us out. You do a better job with that than I do.
If you're watching us on YouTube, seeing our faces, thank you so much for joining us here. Make sure you subscribe with the notification bell turned on so you don't miss a single one of our episodes. If you are listening to us on any podcast streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., thank you also so much for joining us. And thanks for being here. We're really happy you're here. You can follow us on all of our socials. Tell us how you did on the Friends quiz. Tell us apps you've been loving during the pandemic. Give us an update on your language learning journey if you are studying a language. We've got Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and Twitter, and all of those are just Girls Across the Pond on those respective platforms. And we also have a website with some snazzy blog posts. That's just girlsacrossthepond.com. You can also check us out there.
That's right. And don't forget to check out YouTube's Planet Head. She's got a great rendition of the Beatles yesterday. Just posted yesterday.
You posted yesterday.
I did. It was great. I really liked it. Made me a little
Thanks.
weepy, but I'm a mom, so that's what you get with that. Anyways, all right. We will see you guys next week. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Have a good week. Bye.